Hey, everybody, welcome. We're going to get started here. So today, I wanted to put together for you specifically a mini presentation on if you are a small business owner under 5 million in annual revenue, and it just appears that you're not making good traction when it comes to your marketing because there's lots of things you could maybe or should be doing. You don't have very much budget to be spending. You certainly don't have any full-time employees dedicated to this specific task. So that's the reason for my wanting to talk with you today about the different digital marketing strategies. And more importantly, these are things that most agencies won't share. I say that because some of them just don't know. So there's that too. Now here's the agenda. We're going to go over the challenges B2B companies face in generating leads with limited resources. I'll talk to you specifically about the lead gen gap and how to get ahead of your competition, because I do guarantee you your competition, they're not thinking of these things. They don't typically, like yourself, they don't have any internal expertise. They don't have any relationships with any experts in the field of search and digital marketing. And so therefore, when they try this on their own, they're also like you struggling. And I'm going to make sure that you get at least 3 new things that you can do this week to jump ahead of your competition. So who am I and why should you even listen to me? Well, I'm Janet Bartoli. I'm an SEO subject matter expert for the last 20 years. Lots of digital marketing, very specifically, deeply specialized in SEO. I have been an agent on the agency side and corporate in-house experience, both for LexisNexis and at Accenture. I was the search architect to some of the world's largest well-known brands, including Fiat, where I got to spend 8 months in Italy, building out their digital center of excellence across 8 countries and 7 brands. And Fiat, Bank of Montreal, with Bank of Montreal, we were the first to basically implement some kind of formal search strategy for that specific bank. And then I helped them bring in a leader to help run and manage that. And then I've got lots of other things here. One of the other things that I've done specifically, I was a speaker at StubHub headquarters in San Francisco. Lots of other search conferences as well. I've trained over 5,000 digital marketing teams, developers, large corporate organizations, even Reader's Digest's editorial team. Now I work exclusively with small and medium B2B businesses because I know that there's a way that you can leverage some of my experience and my knowledge, and that's genuinely who I do want to help. I too am a small business owner, so I'm invested in the small business community, and I do want to help support as many small businesses as I can, so that they can reach and achieve the results that I've been able to provide for some of these large, very well-known brands. Now, I got my start back in 2004. This is what Google used to look like. And this was the Internet Explorer browser. What an ugly, archaic looking experience that was. So we've come a long way. Lots has changed, certainly. How we search has changed, how we searched even back then, and what specifically do we really look at, and what do we do? So at the time, what do we have? Google, Yahoo, Alta Vista, Ask Jeeves. So these were some of the old things, right? This was before any social media. So it was a basic method of digital marketing back then. After starting my digital marketing career, I was able to work at large enterprise clients for local digital marketing boutique agency, and got to work with a lot of these brands over the course of that period of time. And it occurred to me that I had created these frameworks and these things for these specific brands. And what I hadn't known at the time was that what I was doing for these brands really were the same principles that were working, same best practices and learnings. They worked for the large brands, but they also were helping smaller businesses that actually don't have $1 million in budget. So fast forward to 2024, and all of my knowledge and experience has been able to help provide that same level of methodology and support for smaller businesses. Now, many of the small businesses, there wasn't one thing that we did to help them. Certainly, SEO was a big contributor, especially in this example here. But one of the big things that we did was we helped them with a website redesign because their website was very dated and really not helpful. We also launched a brand new email marketing campaign because they had 3,200 emails, but they didn't have any nurture sequence. So they weren't able to leverage any new revenue from those existing people who had already opted into their email list. Then we tried and tested out new paid advertising in Instagram and Facebook, which was a tremendous help because the healthcare staffing agency that I worked with was really trying to reach more specifically more clients and more healthcare workers, nurses, administrators, et cetera. And so we created a retargeting campaign. So this was a way to really kind of help them with a not just one digital marketing activity, but a few different things. Then we want to diversify marketing, help this consulting firm. So this is a consulting firm that was working specifically with it was a consulting firm that helped IT operators. And so they worked directly with other IT professionals. Their big converting factor was they needed more requests for quotes. And so phone calls was their big draw. And that was the big KPI that we needed to kind of move that lever. But again, this professional services company didn't have any internal digital marketing experience. They had some failed results with a previous agency that they had worked with. And more importantly, they didn't know what to do or where to turn, but they know they needed to grow. Well, we were able to help them grow 78% year over year from 4 new sources of traffic that they didn't have previously built in. So number one, SEO, we did some content marketing. We helped increase new requests. More importantly, there were a lot of pages that weren't even being accessed by Google because there were some blocks. So we helped clean up broken links inside the website. We created a whole content strategy around targeting the top of funnel, specifically those IT consultants that they were looking to speak to. Then we started to include new paid search through Google. And so we could have started out on Bing, but we knew and we could see that that was also a more efficient, lesser expensive way to go. But they really just wanted to go all in on Google Ads. So we started with Google Ads, then used LinkedIn outreach to generate new interested connections. So we created, we supported them in a whole outreach program right on LinkedIn. That was, again, really helpful. Now, we didn't do a paid ad campaign on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is still a little bit funky when it comes to trying to spend money on ads. There's not a really great conversion rate, and it is very tricky. So we decided to just avoid that. Then we invited them to a free online event, similar to kind of like this, where their experts were able to appeal to that audience and what their challenges were, and to show them how what that consultancy does and what they do to help. And so that also built up their email list. When you host any kind of a live event and you promote it properly, you will naturally by extension, grow your email list. And so establishing a new email nurture sequence for that new email list, which would then converted at a 2.8%, which was an email list of 23,000. So that was a significant number of new clients that they had, a new business coming in that they hadn't had before. We also worked with this educational resources business. So as you can see, here's the entire history of that company, all the way back from 2018, just not a lot of traction at all. And so it's a very small 2-person educational resources company, Express Readers. They're generating $2 million per year. Since establishing their digital marketing strategy, that's as a result of that increase in revenue. Again, no prior digital marketing experience internally. They know they needed to do something. They didn't know where to start. We started, as we do with most of our clients, with building the foundation, that is making sure that the site is fully optimized, so that search engine optimization was a plan we put in place. We then built in a content marketing strategy, which helped increase new requests and also amplify the brand to associate with their topical authority, which was decodable readers. So we knew that this was a great way to really attract new educators and teachers into their brand. We also established a new Google Ads campaign to generate larger sales orders. They were really going after specific school districts across the US. And so we were able to regionally attract those school districts through a very strategic ad campaign. Then once we were getting the traffic into the site, we wanted to have another way to help convert that traffic, because again, this is a 2-person team and they needed to know what the best, besides answering the phone calls that they would be getting every, 3 or 4 or 5 every hour. They wanted to be able to spend some time on being business owners and strategy and taking care of fulfilling orders, etc. So we decided to deploy a chatbot, and this chatbot was really useful and helpful on their website, and that helped convert new leads. And so we were basically taking all of those typical frequently asked questions. Do you ship to Canada? What's the, how do I submit a purchase order? These were the typical types of questions that their 1 or 2 person, the owners were bogged down with. So we put that chatbot in place, and that chatbot then warmed up those leads so that anybody who was ready to talk to and submit a purchase order had all the information they needed. And then that also increased the amount of conversions that this client saw. Then number 4, we built a retargeting strategy on Facebook and Instagram. That increased their lead flow by 45%. And I can't tell you the number of conversations that I have with so many like you, who maybe you've trusted an agency, or you went on Upwork or Fiverr, God forbid, and went and got a freelancer and said, hey, I need some SEO done, or I need you to give me a digital marketing plan, and maybe reach out, create a whole social media plan strategy for me. And what happens often, unfortunately, is that you get zero strategy, you get zero long-term or, long-range view. And this is the purpose of why I'm sharing all I know with you, because I know that not just those clients that I helped, but there's so many of the different strategies and things that we can and should put in place that can absolutely help you and your business as well. So here's where we're going to start. What is currently missing exactly? So the first question I'll ask, and I generally know the answer, but I'll ask it anyway. Do you have a digital marketing strategy? Now, just a little bit of a story, but when I worked at LexisNexis in 2008 through 12, when I asked now granted, this was again sort of mid 2000s, so kind of early days, but not really, because this is after Facebook, this is after YouTube. So it's not like there was no social media, there was there was no internet. Certainly there was. But when I asked the CMO of this large global organization what the digital marketing strategy was, The answer was, we don't have one. And so I took it upon myself as the lead overseeing digital marketing in that group to develop my own, or develop a strategy for the corporation. And so the strategy was one that we stretched across North America, Europe, and the Asian continent. So we were able to take all of the different activities and KPIs and things that we wanted to do, and we made sure all the teams knew exactly what the strategy was and what the approach was. That way, we avoided having people doing things on their own in some silo. And when that happens, which if you're a 1 or 2 person or even a 10-person team, generally this does not happen. But the bigger the business gets, the more difficult it is to rein people in, to let them know, like, we're not going off doing something over on TikTok that we're not doing or talking about over on LinkedIn, that we aren't sharing over on YouTube, that isn't a part of the content that is in the website. So there has to be a cohesive message and a cohesive strategy across. So, okay, there's no digital marketing strategy, but what we'll do is look at your current situation. This is what we should do before we even talk about a strategy. What is your brand spending time on? Who is your audience exactly? Now, your audience could be predominantly male, 35 to 45, in the legal industry. Maybe they're a lawyer, personal injury. I mean, that's a good demographic, but we want to go more specifically. What does that specific person that you basically described, what podcasts are they subscribed to? What YouTube videos do they generally watch? What other websites are they spending time on? So when I ask, who is your audience, I want to know more specifically, who is that audience? What are they actually doing? Where are they spending their time? And how can you relate to them at a way or at a level where whatever it is their challenges, or whatever it is that they're looking for, you can be the one with that solution or the answers. So knowing your audience at a very deep level is critically important to knowing what your digital marketing strategy is. Then we look at, what does your own data tell you? So what good is having a website with Google Analytics maybe, and maybe you've got Crazy Egg on your website. And so, where that is kind of sort of an X-ray view into, what the visitors are doing once they actually arrive on your site, which is certainly an important thing to understand, is having all of this data and all these analytics. But what good is it if you don't get the read on it and you're not informed specifically around what it can inform you of? Well, that's why, again, having an integrated marketing strategy, another word for this is omni-channel marketing. Omni-channel marketing, I have found it to be used typically in the enterprise corporate, people like Deloitte, Accenture, because I guess it sounds more impressive, but it's basically integrated marketing. Omni-channel sort of marketing, or an integrated marketing, is where you're not reliant on one digital marketing activity for all your leads. And when I would talk specifically only about SEO, mostly the reason why that was kind of an issue is I was trying to really mostly educate those that of the importance of search engine optimization. It still is a very important digital marketing channel, but you don't stop there. You've got to build beyond that. What is your social media, your email, your website content, your paid search? All of those things should be working together. And when you do that, you're diversifying your ability to attract and grow your audience. And then when you look at your analytics, you'll see, oh, we got 30 visitors from LinkedIn. We got 45 visitors from that email campaign we sent out. And then we got 62 visitors, from the Facebook post or the Instagram reel that we shared. So you're going to see, when you spend time and effort diversifying your marketing, it yields much greater results. And also, it allows for risk mitigation. You're creating a safety net for your business. So I have always used the analogy or the metaphor of, if you have your retirement plan. So having a retirement plan is great, because when you're 27 and you invest in let's say a single stock, and that's it, and then 20 or 30 years later, it didn't do so well. Maybe it kind of tanked. You don't really have a great portfolio to speak of by the time you want to retire. So the general best practice for even that is diversifying your financial investments. You're not investing in just one mutual fund or one stock, but you're diversifying all of those financial vehicles, so that you yield greater results. It's the same principle. It's the same idea. So why is having an integrated marketing approach more effective? Well, there's many more reasons than this. In fact, I just published a recent blog post on 15 reasons why this is such a much better reason for having an integrated or omni-channel marketing approach. Number one, pretty obvious, but you got a wider reach, which is what I said. Different channels attract different demographics. It casts a wider net to diversify your customer base. It's just that simple. What you're going to get and reach on YouTube, you're going to reach a different audience over on LinkedIn as you will on your website, through Google, or from a Reddit forum. It goes across platform to platform. You're just going to reach a wider, more diverse group of people that could potentially learn more about your brand. Number two, consistent messaging. When you are consistent from platform to platform, you enhance brand recall and you build trust, as people are likely to engage with a brand that they recognize. How many times have you recognized a brand, and no matter where you are, what platform, whether it's YouTube TV or whether you're over on, in some online publication where you see an ad for that brand, you do recognize it. There's that brand recall and recognition. Be accessible. So if you want to be able to really help your next set of clients, the best thing you could possibly do is be convenient to them. Multiple touch points, whether it's email, whether it's a video, whether it's a piece of content in your website, you're able to engage with customers way more effectively that way. Here's a great example. Coder Foundry, they are a they create web developers, people who learn how to develop code for websites and applications, and they are their platform of choice is YouTube. They do a really great job on YouTube. 100,000 subscribers with less than 500 videos. They do weekly lives. They do what I would consider to be an excellent job in terms of what a well-optimized, really successfully performing YouTube channel should be and should look like. They do it correctly. The problem is, when you look at what's the traffic that they're getting to their website, Coder Foundry is in the bottom of the list as compared to their direct competitors. And if you look at sort of like all-time traffic, it doesn't really hold really well, because that channel is really great, but that channel isn't necessarily, and again, it has to do with the content strategy, the messaging, where you're sending or directing your subscribers to go to. There's a lot of competition that is not only doing a lot when it comes to SEO for their website, but also paid search as well. You can see there, pretty competitive. They have an Instagram account, but there's not a lot of interaction, and there's no call to action, and there's nothing really to do. This was a recent post. So Major key ingredient to marketing anywhere is your consistent coordinated content, of course. So what content of all kinds? And so we're talking about organic content to start with. All of this is organic content, podcasts, your YouTube, your website case study, besides paid advertising, which is not organic, obviously, email. So of all of these, the only thing here is paid advertising. So if you said, you know what, I really want to try and keep my costs down. I really want to focus in on trying to get the most I can, the biggest reach for the least amount of cost, then the recommendation, podcast, YouTube, website case study, and email. If you want to hold off on paid advertising, you can certainly do that. Then once you start generating enough revenue, absolutely see if it makes sense to invest in paid advertising. Now I'm going to point out the biggest mistakes that I see and that I hear on a regular basis. This is probably mistake number one. When I ask, what are you doing from a digital marketing standpoint? The answer generally, not always, but mostly is, well, we hired a social media manager and they post on social platforms ad hoc and without any cohesive message. And a lot of times it's just random stuff. And then the answer is, when I ask, oh, so how many sales are you getting from that? The answer invariably is, oh, we don't get anything for it. Nothing. Not a request for a schedule for an appointment, not even like when you are in Facebook or Instagram and getting a direct message, or even over on LinkedIn, nothing. No connections, no messaging, nothing. The other big mistake, pushing mediocre content across any platform, anytime. Just crap content that nobody really cares about. There's so many. I mean, think about all the podcasts and the YouTube videos and the blog post content, everything. You are trying to fight to compete in all that noise. If all you do is just hire that social media manager and have them just pump out mediocre content, well, that's really not a great use of that person's time, and you're really not yielding any results. Another big mistake, too many agencies selling AI generated, what I call just crap content. I mean, this is the worst. Anybody can go to ChatGPT and say, I want you to write a 1,200 word blog post on the 5 reasons why my social media profile should be seen by more businesses, or whatever. Just give me, bullets. Give me some headlines that are relevant to specifically the legal industry, and pump it out. And what happens? Well, what happens is you get junk. And then I'll show you later what actually happens with that content. The other big mistake is you're never measuring the effectiveness of that content. So it's like, boom, we just pumped it. You know what? It's been in our website for years, and we have no idea if there's any traffic. We don't know if anyone's ever even read it. We've never shared it on any social platform. Nothing. We have no idea what the end result is. So you probably spent money. If you didn't spend money on hiring a specialized writer to write that content, and then you probably spent your own time developing that piece of content and publishing it. And if you get nothing in return, it was just a wasted time, wasted cost. The other big mistake, no strategy around the what or why or whatever it is you're doing. You're just there. Well, hey, we're in business. We're a small business and we're open. And maybe we have a Google business profile, but there's no plan. It's just, this is it. We get word of mouth because we do really great work, but there's no strategy. Big mistake. And the biggest mistake yet is inconsistency. There's this one day you wake up and say, hey, I should really write a great white paper on this concept that I developed for a client. And maybe you publish that. 4 months later, maybe you decide, I really want to start a YouTube channel. So you publish a video. Maybe you do 4 videos, but very rarely are there any views, no subscribers. Maybe one day you say, hey, you know what, we're going to do podcasting. I think podcasting is a great idea. Let's do that. So now you've gone from thing to thing to thing with no consistency, with nobody paying attention, and all that time, big mistake. So what does your next client need from you? And how can you show them you are the expert? So I'm going to talk a little bit about, very quickly, AI, because it is just borrowed knowledge. Large language learning models, it's basically these LLMs, these things are pulling in content that already exists out there. So by just having it rehash is almost, in a way, in an essence, kind of copy paste, publish it out there. But it's not really showing your expertise. It's not really amplifying your point of view or your knowledge. Google, and more importantly, your next client, needs your voice and your words. It needs creators. And when we have creators, we have experts that we can actually go to. That will amplify your brand or your personal brand. Your point of view, authors, articles that are authored by you, those are things that we need to see more of. Your podcast, online interviews, events that you speak at, all of this is excellent content. All of this is something that you should be absolutely invested in. Ways that you appeal to other humans, that you are the expert in your industry. We're trying to appeal to a human, not to an AI bot. We're trying to appeal to a human, not to a search engine. So yes, your expertise is critical. You are the expert, and this is not something that AI can actually help you with. And this is just a little bit of a snippet that I pulled from Google's updated search quality rater guideline. And what it says here is, many types of pages are trustworthy and achieve their purpose well when created by people with a wealth of personal experience. For example, which would you trust? A product review from someone who has personally used the product, or a quote review by someone who has not? I think you know the answer to that. So yes, we should be leveraging AI, but we should not be abusing it. It is a tool. It is not a magic wand. And if you're just using it to pump out content and not leveraging a human expert writer, you will find that AI content of yours will be suffering greatly in the rankings, because just recently there's been a tremendous amount of AI generated content that is now tanking traffic. And it's not because it's AI generated, it's because it's not unique, it's not creative, it doesn't have that expertise or that specific special human element added into it. So use it for as a framework to have you craft a blog post, but then you should involve yourself or some expert into adding the human elements to it. So what else can you do? You can add on other marketing. You can advertise. What happens when brands stop advertising? This is from Ogilvy. So this was 57 cases of brands stopping mass media advertising. So they stopped it, and the sales were down 58%. It's actually worse for smaller brands. When brands stop advertising for a year or more, all brands decline, but small brands typically suffer even greater. This is something, I don't care what economic environment you think you're in, or we are actually in, whether there is a recession pending or coming out of one or hitting for a soft landing, or there are rumors of something where the economy is not doing great. No matter what, as a small business and a small brand, one thing you cannot and should not do is stop your marketing. Just like you would not stop sales, you should not stop your marketing. You've just got to keep going. And these things that I'm mentioning, whether it's a podcast, whether it's YouTube, or whether it is a blog post or a case study, these are things that you can create. You don't need to hire a very expensive agency to have these things done for you. So we want to make sure that you increase your sales and you increase your footprint. So never stop. When times are good, you should advertise. When times are bad, you must advertise. So how do you prepare? So I'm going to give you 3 ways to establish your strategy. Number 1, if your website has not had a website quality analysis done in the last 12 months, make this a priority. Check for crawl errors, poor indexation. So indexation very simply means, are the pages in my website actually inside Google's index? Is the page speed, do you have a lot of heavy images and videos that are slowing it down? Who is your audience really? What podcasts do they listen to? I was talking about your audience before. Really understanding more specifically, what YouTube channels are they subscribed to? What other websites do they visit besides yours? Content gap analysis and a competitive opportunity review. Find authority content. Develop a new content strategy and framework to appeal to your niche. And you are you are the expert. If you are the specialist in whatever that space is, this is where you can really shine in that content. Now, also out of all of this, as a part of developing your strategy, you would then establish a 6-month strategic. It doesn't have to just be an SEO plan, but if you've never done any digital marketing, that's the best place to start. Is making sure that your website at the very least is optimized and is bringing in traffic. You do need a plan. You don't need more backlinks or random traffic. This is what we help all of our clients accomplish. It's called a digital marketing assessment. And this is something that we start everybody with. If you are interested, go to bartoliconsulting.com and you'll find in the start, it's in the start here. We have a whole description of the digital marketing assessment, as well as on our YouTube channel as well. What you need next, you'll have a digital marketing assessment done. And again, this helps every one of our clients know exactly what they need to do first. We're going to build a roadmap of milestones. Some need to have a website redesign conducted, sometimes. Others just need a content strategy, and then later adding in paid search. Not everything needs to be done all at once. This should not and cannot be overwhelming to you. If you don't have the budget, you grow and you add on these pieces as needed. Put all of that strategy to work for you. So phase 1, this is sort of a digital strategy for a specific client where we were trying to break it into, over the course of 6 months, let's do phase 1. Phase 1 is months 1 through 3. Phase 2, months 4 through 6. And so we have a goal specific to what it is that we're trying to do. Increase site visitation, increase email subscribers, whatever that goal is. We have to know what the goal is, and that's what the strategy will sort of lead up into. And we also know that it's growing because we are measuring it. And then the third step of this is optimizing and testing out new activities. So this timeline is just, again, a timeline to show that, well, months 1 through 2, we should be setting up an email audit and a pay-per-click audit, because maybe this particular client already has paid search running, but we don't know how effective or efficient it is. So we're going to do an audit for them. And then we're going to do months 3 and 4, SEO reporting, email, pay-per-click, digital PR. Months 4, 5, and 6, digital PR, paid search, and ongoing reporting. So again, they can do all of this. They can do some of it. The point is as a result of that digital marketing assessment, they now have a smart strategic plan to put all this in place, and a reporting dashboard to really understand and read the results. That's a Looker Studio dashboard that we create, a custom dashboard for all our clients. So that way they can see very visually and easily. You don't need to be a data scientist to read any of this. So if there's one thing to take away from all this, there's literally, this is literally the exact same process used by all the very large, well-known brands. This is how they get new sales. I've helped them do this, so I know it works well for them. And it's now been helping so many of the much smaller, lesser-known brands too. It's the best way to diversify your lead generation. Make your website the thing that you own, have a sales target. Make it work for your business. You don't own your profile on LinkedIn. You don't even own that YouTube channel. You do own your website. You do own your email list. Those are the things that you should be paying attention to and growing, especially as a small personal brand. Now, I'm sure that you, after seeing all this, can you see how easily this can bring in at least 30% or more new interest to your business in a short period of time? What if your website hands your sales team with warm leads? How happy would they be? And if you don't have a sales team, what if you were given 20 leads on a weekly basis, just on a consistent basis? 70% of all new client inquiries comes from 3 marketing channels. What if that happens now? Instead of word of mouth, now I'm getting more client inquiries from other spaces. And then maybe you can pull back on some offline things. Maybe you don't need to do the offline events anymore because they're expensive and you don't want to travel. So you've got more to invest in other digital marketing channels. And what if your firm gets more branded attention and awareness? Now maybe you get recognized in a very large industry publication. Now you're getting more visible attention on more platforms more often. Now you're more top of mind. You have more than one source of sales and leads contributing to your monthly revenue every month. Now things are feeling a lot easier. Now you've built momentum. So I'm going to share with you some of the best and smartest resources. Number one, if you're not subscribed, get over to LinkedIn. My newsletter is called The Marketer's Brief, and I do publish that every week. And so there's a lot of things I will share there that I'm not necessarily sharing here. Brand new YouTube channel at Janet Bartoli. And so that YouTube channel is going to have all kinds of helpful resources, like if you have never started a YouTube channel before, and I know that you could go on YouTube and say, hey, how do I start a YouTube channel? There are a lot of really great creators there. I'm going to do a very from scratch, here's what you got to do, step by step. I also am going to be using a really great resource recommended by one of the biggest well-known authorities in the space. So I will use his specific steps and I'll share those with you as well. And there's also tools like later.com. So I'll jump right in there, share that with you so that you can understand, instead of trying to figure out, is this a tool I should use? Is this going to negatively impact my account and ban me and shut me down? I'll be able to expose all those tools so that you won't worry about whether it's going to negatively impact your brand. And then plus, we're going to do a brand new podcast. I actually love podcasts. I love listening to them, and I also love producing them. I did have a podcast about a year ago, and now there's been a shift or change in focus, and so I'm going to relaunch a brand new podcast. It's going to be built specifically for businesses under 10 million that just want to grow. They just need to get some traction. And starting next month, I'm going to be offering even more support and a more affordable option than working with me one-on-one, because I know many of you that are generating a less than 10 million in annual revenue, some even lesser than $1 million, just need to get some traction. How do you get up to the 3 to 5 million range? And so I am going to be offering more support, and it will be very affordable. So it will not be the same price as I offer my one-on-one services. So if you are interested in learning more about that, join the waitlist. Go to bartoliconsulting.com/waitlist. Get on that waitlist, and you will be the first to know when I am ready to launch that. It's going to be in a beta form to start with, and so this will be the lowest cost I'll be able to ever offer it to you at. And so if you're at all interested, just jump on that wait list. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below, or you can just reach me directly through bartoliconsulting.com, and I'm happy to talk with you there. Also, go over to LinkedIn and find me there. I'm there every day. I'm happy to chat with you. Just connect with me over there. Thank you again, and join that wait list, because what I have to share with you, I have not been able to find any kind of support like this anywhere. So you're definitely going to want to get in on that new program as it launches. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your day. And it was a pleasure sharing this all with you.